Welcome back, sacred soul of Scorpio. I am Selena. And if these words have found their way to you today, on this very breath of May 29th, 2025, know with every fiber of your being that this is not a coincidence. This moment has been woven into the fabric of your soul's timeline long before your conscious mind could name it. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were guided by unseen hands, by the quiet pull of intuition, by the soft ache in your heart that's been whispering its time. Today the universe is not shouting. It's not demanding dramatic change or outward declarations. Instead, it speaks in the soft language of spirit, through symbols, sensations, and synchronicities. Mars in Cancer. The warrior of the heart meets Neptune in Pisces, the dreamer of the soul in a sacred embrace. Together they awaken your water trinity, your emotions, your intuition, your spiritual memory. This is not an astrological event to be analyzed only with the mind. It is to be felt in the marrow of your being. It is the kind of alignment that stirs something ancient within you, a memory of who you were before the wounds. A call to return to the sanctuary of your truth. You, Scorpio, are being invited into the quietest yet most profound kind of rebirth. The kind that doesn't need applause or recognition. The kind that happens in silence behind closed doors beneath the surface of things. You are being asked to surrender not to weakness, but to the strength that lives in softness. To put down the armor you've worn for far too long. To lay down the stories that told you you had to fight to be worthy. The truth is your power was never in the battle. It was always in the grace with which you rose after. So take a breath with me now, not just with your lungs, but with your soul. Inhale possibility. Exhale the past. What awaits you today is not more noise. It is a return to essence. And in that sacred stillness, your transformation begins. There is something ancient within you, Scorpio. Something that has been quietly loosening its grip. You may not have had the words for it until now, but you felt it. A dissonance. A fatigue that sleep can't fix. It's the soft unraveling of an identity forged in survival. An old belief about your worth. A fear that once kept you safe, but now keeps you small. A loyalty to pain, to cycles, to people who once mirrored your wounds, but no longer reflect your truth. Today the stars peel back the veil, revealing a path toward emotional sovereignty. Not the kind that shouts independence from rooftops, but the kind that whispers, I am whole, even when no one else understands. And as this path appears, you may feel the instinctive pull to withdraw not out of isolation, but out of sacred necessity. This is a retreat, not a retreating. A call to detox not just the physical shell you walk in, but the energetic landscape you carry within. From the conversations that leave you empty, from the environments that demand your performance, but reject your presence. From identities you outgrew the moment you chose healing over validation. This is not about abandoning the world. It's about returning to the world as yourself, unfiltered, unburdened, unbound. Let go of the pressure to explain your evolution. Let go of the need to justify your distance, your silence, your shift in direction. You don't owe a map to those who never dared follow your storm. Let silence become your sanctuary. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of self. In that silence, you will remember who you were before the noise. And in that remembering, you will begin to rebuild. There is healing now in the smallest of things, in the ritual of making tea with intention, in the way your body sways to music that feels like home, in the salty wind brushing against your skin, near a body of water that mirrors your depth. These are not empty gestures. They are sacred acts of realignment. You are reweaving your inner world with threads of peace, patience, and presence. And that, dear Scorpio, is the most powerful spell you could ever cast. Financially, the universe is inviting you to pause and realign. With the moon stepping into analytical Virgo and illuminating your 11th house, the domain of vision networks and long-term abundance, there is a quiet but potent urge rising within you to get serious about what you're building, not just for the next few weeks, but for the version of you 5 years from now. This isn't about urgency. It's about clarity. The kind of clarity that only arrives when you ask yourself the deeper questions. What kind of wealth feels safe in my body? What kind of success feels sustainable in my soul? You may find yourself instinctively drawn toward practical matters today, reviewing bank statements, canceling subscriptions that no longer serve, streamlining shared projects, or even reconsidering the people you collaborate with. Not from a place of scarcity, but from a desire to create spaciousness. Virgo energy reminds you that order is not control, it is care. When you tidy your financial world, you're not just organizing numbers on a page. You're creating an energetic container sturdy enough to hold the abundance that's meant for you. Saturn. The cosmic architect watches silently from a favorable angle, grounding this process in discipline and devotion. This planet doesn't offer quick wins, but it offers something far more enduring, the blessing of long-term reward. Real wealth, Saturn whispers, is not something you chase. It's something you become aligned with through patience, integrity, and consistency. So let go of the pressure to match someone else's pace. Let go of the illusion that more equals better. Let your financial goals be shaped by what brings you peace, not what earns applause. You are not falling behind. You are laying bricks with intention. And while the world may not always see the quiet labor behind your glow, the universe does. And it's preparing to match your effort with opportunity. Love today moves in whispers, not fireworks. Scorpio, in your heart, so often drawn to intensity, is being asked to seek something far more sacred, emotional integrity. As Mars harmonizes with Neptune across water signs, the energy softens your inner landscape and illuminates the quiet truth beneath your romantic patterns. If you are healing from a recent entanglement or an old ache that still echoes through your bones, this is not a time to reenact the fantasy or replay the old movie with a different actor. It's a time to honor what is real, not what could be, not what should have been, but what stands true under the quiet light of your own awareness. For those in relationships, this is a day to lean into softness without losing clarity. Speak with gentleness, but also with honesty. Let go of the need to protect your partner from your truth. The most tender form of love is the one that makes space for both vulnerability and boundaries, for both listening and being heard. You are not here to perform emotional perfection. You are here to build emotional partnership. And for those walking this day alone, know this: you are not behind. You are in a sacred phase of refinement. Resist the urge to chase the spark just because it's bright. Pay closer attention to the presence that soothes your nervous system, the gaze that sees your depth and doesn't try to fix it, the person whose silence feels like home. Love is not meant to be a battlefield where you must prove your worth. It is meant to be a sanctuary where your spirit can exhale. But beware, Scorpio, the past has a funny way of testing us when we're finally healing. An old name may appear on your screen. A familiar feeling may resurface in the chest. You might be tempted to revisit a story that once made you feel alive, even if it also made you bleed. Pause, breathe, and remember this truth: just because someone once held your heart does not mean they're entitled to touch it again. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to say no without explanation. This is your reclamation. Today, the universe does not ask you to make promises. It asks you to stay honest with yourself, to choose what brings peace over what brings passion for its own sake. In doing so, you open the door, not just to a partner, but to a love that reflects the wholeness you've spent lifetimes becoming. Under the gentle guidance of the Virgo moon, your body is speaking in quiet ways today. Scorpio, not through dramatic symptoms, but through subtle requests for rhythm, simplicity, and care. This is not a day for pushing limits or chasing peak performance. It's a day for remembering that your physical form is not just a vessel, but a temple, one that holds the entire story of your becoming one breath, one choice, one heartbeat at a time. You may feel drawn toward the basics, grounding meals that nourish, rather than stimulate movement that flows, rather than burns environments that soothe, rather than distract. Honor that instinct. Eat root vegetables, warm grains, and foods that come from the earth. Stretch slowly, not to achieve a pose, but to listen to where your body holds tension. Let your living space reflect your internal world, uncluttered, intentional, soft around the edges. Virgo is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to be present, to pay attention to the details that hold your well-being. Your nervous system does not need another rush of adrenaline or another cup of caffeine to survive the day. It needs rhythm, gentle waking, mindful meals, sacred sleep. It needs boundaries with technology, silence between tasks, music that reminds your heart to beat slower. Rest today is not indulgence, it is medicine. And hydration is not a chore, it is ceremony. With every glass of water, you are blessing your cells with renewal. With every hour of sleep, you are offering your spirit a return to source. And when your mind tries to override your body's wisdom, when it says you should be doing more, pushing harder, going faster, pause. Place your hand over your chest. Feel the steady drum of your existence. The body knows what the mind forgets. The body remembers how to heal. And if you let it guide you today, it will lead you back to balance. Not through force, but through remembering that health is not about controlling the body. It is about loving it back to wholeness. Today's celestial currents stir not only the waters within you, Scorpio, but the waters that bind you to those you call family. As old patterns, long quiet tensions, or unspoken stories rise again to the surface, it may feel as though you are being pulled backward, but you are not being haunted, you are being handed the pen. This is not a return to pain, but a sacred opportunity to rewrite a chapter that has lingered too long in silence. The universe is not punishing you by bringing these themes back around. It is trusting you, trusting that you have grown enough, softened enough, strengthened enough to face them, not with defensiveness, but with wisdom. Emotional maturity is not about swallowing your truth for the sake of peace. It is about honoring your truth so fully that you can speak it without needing to shout. It is about understanding that you can set boundaries without blame and hold space for others without abandoning yourself. This may be a day where you feel called to revisit conversations with siblings, especially those with whom you share both the deep history and lingering misunderstandings. Or perhaps a maternal figure or a feminine elder in your family line becomes the mirror through which you examine what has been passed down to you, not just genes, but gestures, expectations, roles you never agreed to carry. Let the reconnection be gentle. Let the silence between words be just as sacred as the words themselves. Not all healing arrives in the form of apologies or grand reconciliations. Sometimes it arrives in the quiet moment where you finally understand where someone was coming from, not to excuse them, but to release yourself. Sometimes the healing is simply in choosing not to respond the way you once would have, and choosing to stay rooted in your calm, even as someone else spirals, and choosing to witness instead of react. You are not the child you once were. You are not the same version of yourself who once felt voiceless or responsible for the emotional weight of an entire household. Today you are the observer, the alchemist, the one who can break the chain without breaking the connection. That is a sacred task, and you are ready. Family does not have to mean fusion. You can love without losing yourself. You can walk alongside them without walking backwards. And if distance is required for your peace, let that be your medicine too. Emotional closeness is not measured in proximity, but in authenticity. And you, Scorpio, are learning that truth is the most generous offering you can give to those you love. So move through this day with compassion, not just for them, but for yourself. You are not here to fix your lineage. You are here to free yourself from it. And in doing so, you create the possibility of love that no longer carries the weight of unhealed generations. That is not rebellion. That is healing. That is legacy. The skies are not random, Scorpio. They are rhythmic, sacred, and deeply intentional. And today they surround you with symbols meant not just to be noticed, but to be felt in the marrow of your intuition. Your angel number today is 77, a sequence that echoes the vibration of inner wisdom and spiritual alignment. When this number shows up, it's not just encouragement, it's confirmation. You are on the path, even if the way forward feels unclear. You are being reminded that mastery doesn't arrive through external achievement, but through internal attunement. This is a moment to trust your inner voice more than any outside noise, to let your own soul's whisper become louder than the world's expectations. Your spirit animal for today is the swan, a creature of quiet majesty and emotional depth. The swan is not just beautiful, it is resilient. It glides through still waters with grace, but beneath the surface its movements are deliberate, steady, and strong. This is your reflection now, Scorpio. There is strength in your softness. There is rebirth in your stillness. You are not here to thrash through change. You are here to embody transformation in its most elegant form, slow, soulful, sacred. To support this energy, wrap yourself literally or energetically in indigo blue, the color of deep intuition, truth-telling, and inner sight. This hue activates your third eye, clears mental fog, and soothes the emotional tightness you may not even realize you're carrying. Whether through clothing, meditation, or even just a single candle flame, allow this color to hold you today. Let it remind you that vision doesn't always come through the eyes. Sometimes it rises from within, Scorpio. The universe is not asking you to push today. It is not handing you a list of tasks or urging you to prove your worth through effort. Instead, it is offering you something far more radical: release. This is your invitation to allow the old version of you to dissolve, not in shame or regret, but in reverence. That self, the one who held on, who braced, who performed strength out of survival, carried you as far as it could. Now your soul is ready to travel lighter. And that means saying goodbye with love to what no longer belongs. You are not entering a chapter of action, Scorpio. You are entering a chapter of essence. A chapter where gentleness becomes your superpower, where boundaries are no longer walls, but doors you choose when to open, where your stillness is not emptiness, but pure radiant presence. You no longer need to chase validation. You no longer need to explain your healing. You are no longer auditioning for a place in anyone's life. You are home within yourself. This is your sacred unfolding, a quiet revolution where your softness reclaims the throne. Your scars do not disqualify you. They make your light more honest. And the journey ahead will not be led by force, but by frequency. Stay close to your center. Speak only what feels clean in your body. Say yes only when it feels like alignment, not obligation. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you've always been beneath the noise. See you in the next Rising Beloved Scorpio.